Okay. So, Michael, thanks for having a conversation with us this evening. So, for those of you who are not aware, today we are talking to Michael Olusegun Olusanya.
Olusanya.
Is that the correct pronunciation?
That's correct.
Okay. He's the founder of Greenway International. So, Michael, first off, what is Greenway International?
Well, Greenway International is an environmental protection organization that was set up by the young people across the globe, especially living in Africa. So we set this environmental protection organization up to help protect the environment. We started as a professional. When we started, that was in 2018. So we were professionals having our own professional work we are all doing. We were not an environmentalist, but we started by going to the beach to join beach cleanup exercise. Then along the line, we come to realize that the environment is where we live in. And a lot of people don't really care about what happens in the environment anymore. So then we look at it that how can we make the world a better place? And how can we make this a part of us? Then we did make a decision by coming together as a young people, as a youth. Then we decided to start an organization that can help to protect the environment. And that's how Greenway was born. So from the beach, then we move into putting our efforts together to save the environment. And along the line, we decided that we want to focus on emission, which is relating to the Sustainable Development Goal. Because we have 17 development goals, but we have decided that we are only going to be focusing on the few that has to do with the area at which we have our interest. And our interest is mostly in the area of the climate change. So we are more focused on SDG 13. And we are also more focused on the life on land. And
life on land?
Yes, life on land.
Life on land, okay.
Life on land, yes.
Okay.
And life in the water. I mean, we are talking about the ocean bodies.
Okay.
So that is how we are looking at area where we can reduce our plastic pollution, and also we are looking at how we can improve the air quality we breathe by planting trees. So most of our activities are to plant trees and also to reduce plastic pollution.
Okay, so planting trees and then reducing plastic pollutions. But in your earlier statement, you didn't mention that it's a group for young people. And I get the distinct feeling it is not, let's say, like a Nigerian or Ghanaian group. Is it multinational? Is it cross-national? I mean, how do you define your...
Greenway is an international organization. Okay. That is why it is Greenway International. Okay. So being an international organization, we have our offices in different African countries because when we come together as a youth to establish the organization, along the line, we got some other youth from other African countries who saw what we are doing and they pick interest and they come to Ghana to join us. And when they were going back home, they decided that they would also like to establish this type of initiative in their country. So what can I do when my interest is for them to protect the environment? So I have to give them the approval. And whatever they are doing there, they also copy whatever we do here. So whatever we are doing is something that is replicable across the other countries. So when you look at Togo, Greenway is established in Togo.
Okay.
Greenway is established here in Ghana. If you go to Nigeria, Greenway is there. So we have Greenway also in Gambia. And also, there are some youths now who are saying they want to have a Greenway in Abidjan. So Greenway is an international organization that is operating locally by youth. just for the sake of protecting our planet.
Okay, you know, in my experience, in our part of the world, it seems that we are focused more on survival and putting food on the table. As for this environment and whatnot, it's more like an afterthought. If a thought is spared for it at all, so why should we care? Or how is it relevant to us?
Yes, actually, in terms of relevancy, we need also not to look at just protecting our environment alone. You know, I understand your statement when you mentioned about survival. We are talking about economic survival. There has
Exactly.
to be some economic advantage also that the people should also be able to benefit from protecting the environment. So in this case, we are not just focusing only on protecting our environment, but we are also looking at the aspect whereby we can mitigate the economic issues. I mean, the economic deficiency of the African youth. You know, now we have a lot of African youth who are planning to emigrate from Africa to Europe just because of economic opportunities.
Okay.
So along the line in 2019, we decided that we cannot continue to just go to the beach to clean the beach. Because we have come to realize that there is no amount of cleanup that we can do as a startup organization, as a young organization, can actually make the ocean to be clean. Even if you take all the people in Africa to clean the ocean of plastics, they cannot. So we have to sit down and redesign how we operate. So in this case, we try to create an economic model that can help the young people to benefit from the activities. So in this case, we are able to come up with an idea. We develop an idea, then we take the idea into an establishment. Then the idea becomes an innovation. And the innovation becomes something that is now in use in businesses to mitigate the plastic pollution. And also, another activity we do is to plant trees. This planting of trees is we get sponsorship and we get support from individuals and companies. So this also has helped us to be able to support our volunteers. Because, you know, volunteers, they also have to expend some fees for coming to the grounds to participate in our programs. So the sponsors, when they give us their support, this helps us to reimburse the volunteers and also to make them feel good that yes, they are actually participating in a worthy cause. So in terms of our innovation, we are able to develop food pack, which is made from sugarcane waste.
Okay.
Because we come to realize that sugarcane waste is something that is a resource. And we are trying to see how we can, you know, take advantage of the waste to turn it into wealth. So this can also create jobs because when more young people have jobs and they have economic opportunities in Africa, they will not think about traveling to Europe or any other part of the world. So this is an economic advantage for them. So with this, we started small. That was in 2019, last year, early last year. And when we are able to develop about 3 possible innovations, and they become a solution to replacing plastic pollutions. So the plastic pollutions I'm talking about are most of the single-use plastics we use in our daily lives. So when we talk about the single-use plastics we use every day, you know, we have a fork, we have a knife made from plastics, we have spoon made from
disposable
plastic,
ones.
even disposables, yes, disposable plastic, even plastic bags, plastic styrofoam food pack. So we have developed a food pack, which is not styrofoam. We developed a food pack from sugarcane waste, which we call a sugarcane waste packaging.
You have sent me some presentations. Let me
and I believe I've sent a presentation on that to you. And that is actually a prototype. And the prototype of that sugarcane bagasse, we are currently looking for investors who can actually enable it to become something that will be used and very available to the public, because the current price of that innovation is actually the same price you buy the plastic styrofoam. So it is a solution because everybody can access it.
Are you talking about this this sugar?
What I have currently on the screen is organic straw.
Okay.
And
is this one?
This is actually the styrofoam replacement I am talking about. This is a compostable food pack, and this is the edible straw we also have developed. So this edible straw, we have sold over 2 million pieces of this straw.
2 million pieces.
A lot of businesses are using, yes, over 2 million pieces of this straw have been sold. Even as of yesterday, between yesterday and today, we have sold more than 30,000 pieces of these straws to restaurants who are operating here in Accra. And yesterday, we have an opportunity to make an exhibition at the Netherlands Orange Corners yesterday. And that also gives us an opportunity to, increase our network by meeting some new businesses who are interested in our products. So this product is helping to create economic benefits for prospective migrants, for unemployed youth in Ghana. So basically, we are creating green jobs, and we are also improving the face of the environment. So if you look at our project, we are not just talking about how to protect the environment, but we are also providing the solutions that will help to mitigate the effect of plastic pollution and the climate change.
Okay. So I want to, since we are talking about the edible straws, it means that after using them, I can eat them. Is that also? Did you hear my question?
Of course, you can eat them after using them. And currently, we are working on a project that we can be able to use rice to make straws, so that people can also eat rice after drinking with the straw. So the straw should be able to stay the same way we have this one currently, which is staying up to 2 to 3 hours in the water. So if we can be able to succeed before the end of the year, we can launch our new edible straw, which will be made from rice.
And as opposed to this one that is made from bamboo.
This is made from bamboo. And it is organic.
Okay.
Yes, we process this to a food grade standard. And recently, we have been approved by the Ghana Standard Authority after they have tested and they have, succeeded in approving us that now we are okay to do business in Ghana anywhere with our straw. Even though we have been trading our straw since 2019, but this year, 2020, we have finally gotten the approval by the Ghana Standard Authority, which is a high authority that, verify a product and certify that, yes, this product is good for the public.
So if I may ask, how do you organize your supply chain for these materials? Because I know that sometimes organizing materials, raw materials as inputs, it can be difficult in our part of the world. So from sourcing the quality you need and the quantity, in this case bamboo, How did you go about that problem?
Of course, when you talk about sourcing of materials and in terms of bamboo, we you remember that we are an environmental protection organization, and we are very, very much conscious about how we source our products. We have to make sure that they are, eco-friendly and organically grown. So our product is organically grown, and we are working with credible organizations. And I'm not going to mention their name, not just for the sake of not making an advert for them, because, but they are credible partners of ours. So what we do mostly as a startup, we do a lot of research and development. So what we are doing currently is to outsource most of our production, sourcing, and harvesting and productions to credible organizations who have the capacity to actually deliver the kind of service we requested and the kind of service that meet the standard. So this is one of the advantage we have. So if we are to say that we want to do the harvesting, the production, the sourcing and everything by ourselves, of course, we cannot actually have the resources to do all these things now because we are just a startup, So we have to sign a partnership agreement, have some very concrete MOU, and also NDA, non-disclosure agreements, which we have already passed all those stage, and we have raised enough funds to start. And currently, we are needing investors who will be more interested in being a part of what we are doing by expanding the process so that we can increase our customer base, and then also we can increase our production, and we can be able to get the products more into the market so that everybody can have access to it. Then it can be very, very accessible to almost everybody, and then we can be able to save the planet.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, the straw, this edible straw, is a sustainable business. In other words, you can produce enough volume at an acceptable quantity into your ready market at a reasonable rate of return.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. It's a sustainable business, and in a month we can produce up to 30 million according to our capacity. We can produce up to 30 million pieces in a month within 30 days. So currently, if we are able to do that, 30 million pieces in 30 days, you can multiply it by 12. It means we can be able to supply the whole country within a space of 6 months, because Ghana only have 30 million people, and not all the 30 million people in Ghana use straws.
Some of us really drink for the bottle. I was going to ask about these products. Now you're looking at the food pack. What is the average consumer, and I'm using that word advisedly, what is their perception of these products? Do you, in your experience, do you have to work extra to persuade them about the benefit of moving from, let's say, this plastic-based disposables to an organic-based one?
Well, that would have been the case in the first place, to convince people from moving from plastic styrofoam food pack to the organically made and the compostable food pack, which is 100% eco-friendly. And but the case is not what it is, because if you look at the consumer, from the consumer aspect, consumers are mostly concerned about the pricing. So how much does it cost? if it costs more than the styrofoam food pack I buy every day, then why should I buy it? That is the question. To save the environment. Of course, not everybody is interested in what happens in the environment. But we have made it a solution, because it becomes a solution when it is accessible to everybody, when everybody can afford it. So it is not a solution when everybody cannot afford it. So if you look at it currently, the price at which you buy the styrofoam food pack is the same price you buy the compostable organic food pack made from Greenway. So I don't think you have any question to rethink about the price as a consumer, even if you don't care about the environment.
Yeah.
For us, we have put it into consideration, the price, because most of the consumers are mostly concerned about the price. And that one we are very, very, very careful. And then we have tried our best to make sure that they can get it almost at the same price. Where you will get the styrofoam, you can also get our own food pack, which is not plastic, at the same price. So it means the moment we launch into the market, we will break even. And in fact, there will be no space for plastic pollution.
Okay. So in terms of markets, is this something that you have thought about taking continental? Because currently, from what you said earlier, it seems that most of your activities as Greenway International is in the West African sub-region. But the solutions that you are talking about, let's say the edible straw and this plastic waste, for example, it seems that for now, it's Ghana that you are focused on. Is there a plan to expand this beyond Ghana to the sub-region and the continent at large?
Yes, our plan actually is to be more available across Africa, because we believe in Africa. And if you look at Ghana, for instance, in Accra, 5 million pieces of plastic styrofoam is used every day. If you look at Lagos, they use about over 30 million styrofoam food pack every day. So you can imagine the kind of pollution we already have in Africa. So for us, how we see the plastic pollution is not about the economic focus, but we are also looking about the poverty in Africa. So we see plastic pollution as a poverty that is in Africa. So we want to eradicate the poverty in Africa, because we believe that if we can eradicate the plastic pollution in Africa, the prosperity of Africa will be renowned and Africa will shine. So we are more focused on Africa at this point, because we are more African than we can imagine. So we are an African organization, and we are more focused on the 54 countries in Africa, and we are focused on expanding our coast into all the African regions and all the African nations.
Okay, two questions. The first one is in reference to a statement you just made earlier. I don't, if you can explain a bit more about what you mean that by this disposable packs is an energy poverty, is a poverty. I don't really get what you mean by that, number one. And then number two, I would like to know, what is the business model for expanding this product into the various African markets? Is it like some form of franchise that you're going to license your products to other people in the various countries to produce the packs? Or is it like a distribution system that you are going to do? So you have distributors in the various African countries, or are you going to do your own self-distribution? I mean, what is the business model?
Well, yeah, in terms of having it available in Africa and every part of the African countries. So our plan is to leverage on the African Free Trade Agreement, which allows all African countries to be able to trade free by exporting the goods at no cost. So we can have our main hub for production within the African states, and then we can, ship it anywhere, any part of the African state without any problem, because
Do you
we are
mean
going to be
Ghana?
leveraging on the African Free Trade Agreement.
Do you mean
And,
main production based in Ghana, and then you ship to the rest of Africa? Is that what you're
well,
trying to say?
It all depends on our production units, because currently we are talking about 54 countries in Africa. So Ghana is going to be one of the production plants, because we have discussed with some of the authorities in Ghana who are working on the one district, one factory. So there's a possibility, which is very, very much very possible, that we have a plant in Ghana, which will create more jobs for the young people in Ghana, but not only centered in Ghana. So we are also looking at other bigger economies in the African countries where we can also establish our factories. But of course, we are not going to establish our factories in all the 54 countries in Africa. But we are going to be more centered on leveraging our exports and trade, within the free trade agreement, which is a very big opportunity for African countries to actually exchange transactions of trade, just to get African countries to move forward from poverty. So when I talk about poverty in terms of plastic being a poverty for Africa, I actually mean that we are really suffering from the waste, because when you think about the amount of plastic waste we are putting in our system, you can imagine when Ghana alone is disposing 50 pesos in the waste bin every day. 50 pesos multiplied by 5 million every day. That's a lot of money. And this is a lot of money we are losing every day. And this is styrofoam, which is not reusable. But this is going to cost us more, because our landfill is going to be full. We are going to be spending a lot of money to manage our waste. But think about it. When we start using a reliable and a recyclable food pack, which can be converted into a compost and can be reused by farmers to grow their produce. This is an organic produce. They are growing, and we have an organic compost which can be recycled, and farmers can also use this to grow a new farm produce that can be consumed. So we are not just looking at one side. We are more focused on the circular economy. So when we have a circular economy, it's an economy that will really make Africa to grow. So when you are talking about linear economy, which is what we are practicing right now, Africa will continue to be in debt, and they will continue to be poor. So liberating Africa from poverty, we need to create and also work in a circular economy concept, and also develop a circular future for the African economy. So that is what we are currently doing now. So we are building a circular future for Africa. So this is the only thing that can actually liberate Africa from poverty. And then when we continue to use the disposable plastic, Africa will continue to be in debt. But when we start to switch into a circular economy, we will be having more than enough for the African people and for the African government, and the environment also, we also benefit from whatever we do as human beings.
You did touch out, you raised something very important and interesting to me. what is the concept of a circular economy? You know, it's like one of those things that terms that people throw out there, you know, circular economy. But I think a lot of us don't understand what that concept means. So what is a circular economy as
So
opposed to a
when
linear economy?
we actually mean circular economy, we mean an economy whereby we can keep our resources and our materials in use, where we don't have to go into getting a new resources when we don't need to do so. So what we need to do as a concept of a circular economy, it means to keep the material in use, where we can use and use and reuse and use and use and use until we cannot use it again. So it means, now think about it. For us as an organization, we are producing a styrofoam food pack. Sorry, not a styrofoam. I mean, we are producing a styrofoam replacement.
Okay.
Pardon me. The styrofoam replacement is made from sugarcane waste. Before we get the sugarcane waste, there's a company who has already extracted the sugar from the cane.
Okay.
Another company will extract ethanol from the same sugar cane. Now it is left with the shaft, which is left to be burned. Imagine if we have to put fire on that and burn it, there will be, air pollution. And that is going to create
because you're releasing
very
carbon
big
into
emission.
the atmosphere.
Exactly. So as part of our mission to reduce our carbon emission, we take this shaft from this factory. Instead of them to burn it, then we now process it into the food pack, which can be reused for taking food away from restaurants, from hotels, and all the places you may need. And now, this food pack, after you use them to take your food away, you throw them anywhere they can compose, they can decompose. It can be used for compost. So you can, if you throw them in the trash can, when the trash collectors are collecting them, if they are to segregate the waste, you segregate it as a compost.
Okay.
And when they compose it, it can be used for people who are using compost to plant trees and compost to do other farming activities. So that is a circular economy. You see that if you look at the chain, somebody took sugar, another person took ethanol, then another person took the shaft and turned it into food pack. The food pack becomes a waste, and the food pack also can be now recycled into a compost. The compost can be used to plant trees or plant any farm produce. So it means nothing goes to waste. That is circular economy.
Okay, I think I was.
But when you look at the issue of styrofoam, where they produce it from petroleum byproduct of a petroleum, then it becomes a plastic styrofoam. You use it to eat, you throw it in the trash, it's not recyclable, it's not usable. Then it becomes a waste on the landfill. Then before you know, it finds its way into the ocean, break down and kill a lot of ocean animals, and becomes a very big problem. And that is a global problem now we are facing in the world. So you can see the two difference between both economies, the economy that is creating waste and the economy that is using the resources to the fullest. So that is a circular future we are creating for Africa.
So in other words, in the circular economy, the waste is seen as a resource. The waste becomes a resource that is used for further processing. Oh, okay, that's fantastic. I think that's a fantastic explanation. Another thing, you did touch briefly on tree planting. That
Yes.
your so let's say when you sell these food packs and you get profits, is it some of the profits that are used towards this tree planting, or like you mentioned earlier, it's just a donors fund that are used to sponsor this tree planting? And how do you keep track of the entire process?
Well, in terms of tree planting, what we do, we are not working alone. So we are also doing some partnership with international organizations, other local NGOs. We are working together across Africa. In Africa, we have about 25 African countries, which is currently working with us. And we have partners in all these countries. They are all also working with us. This time we call for a global action. They join us. So what we do is to send letters to interested sponsors and partners who are also very much enthusiastic about planet. And we have a different type of organizations who are more interested in different things. So we have discovered organizations who are more interested in tree planting. And whenever we are having our program for tree planting, we let them know that we are going to have this program. And of course, whatever donation, contribution, or commitment they have to make, they do. So this is also one of our way of, moving forward. And most of the companies, some private companies also, they give their contributions towards supporting what we are doing, because they know we are young people. We don't really have so much finance by ourselves that we can say that we want to finance a big project. But the companies, most of them, they do this as part of their social responsibilities. And they also do this to make their company look good out there. So, when they are saving the planet, people see what they are doing, that, yes, this is a very good company. This is a very responsible business. So it makes more people patronize them. So some of the companies and some of the bigger organizations, in terms of our sponsors, we have gotten a lot of diplomatic entities across Africa who are really doing well. And one of them I would like to mention, because they have been doing amazing things for us, and we are also a very big part of them. We have been a very long time partner with them, which is European Union delegation in Ghana. They have been a very big support for our project, and they've always been there for us most of the time. And we also have the Italian High Commission, who is also a very big part of what we are doing when it comes to tree planting. They are very, very committed to reducing plastic waste, especially the European Union. The ambassador, Diana Consa, she's a very big front runner in terms of reducing plastic waste and also regreening Ghana. So she is a very big advocate of regreening Ghana. And the US ambassador, Stephanie Sullivan, and they have been supportive. They have a green team in the US Embassy. They are also working towards protecting our environment. And we also have the Australian ambassador, who is also doing very well. So all these people, and even the Netherlands ambassador, Ron Stryker, we also have him also, is also doing well. And we are also working together with him to see how we can promote the riding of bicycle, because Netherlands is a bicycle country, and they are also trying to see how Africans can take cycling to reduce greenhouse gas emission, because now many people want to buy cars, and we are thinking how we can get electric cars to reduce our pollution. But some people still don't understand that the era of fossil fuel cars is gone. So we are now in the EV era, or you ride an electric bike, or you ride a bicycle, which is not electric, or you ride electric cars. So which means you are now living in the new century. But what can we do? we still have the pollutants, but all we can do is to create more awareness and also to advocate. So that is why we are working with all the partners who are doing different things, amazing things. You know, we have partners who are working in the space of electric vehicles, and we have partners who are working in the e-bike sector. They are all circular economies. We have partners who are making bamboo from bicycle. They are also making bicycle. You know, so many amazing people doing amazing things, trying to make the world a better place. And whatever you do in the area of making the world a better place, you will come to realize that there's always an economic aspect of that thing that you are doing, which can also benefit you, benefit the people, and also benefit the nature. So it is like we are doing business with the people, we are also doing business with nature. So we are not just doing business, because this is no more a business as usual, where you don't care about what happens. Here, we are talking about how we can protect our environment, how we can create economic opportunities, and how we can, nature, and how nature can benefit from us. So we have highlighted few of our people who are also giving us support, and there are so many others are also there, which I cannot remember. But of course, they are all wonderful people who are giving us their support, and we always acknowledge them every time we have the opportunity to talk about them.
It's interesting you did mention electric vehicles and electric bikes, because just a couple of days ago, I did interview Pushka Patak of What Vegans, who are into electric bikes, bicycles, and motorbikes. So I think maybe I'll link it in the description of this video. I did notice though that when you were talking about your sponsors or donors or those who are helping you to push this tree planting agenda, there was no African organization mentioned. But I actually heard a lot of embassies, if anything. And for me, that is striking, because like Ghana, for example, you see that we have basically deforested a large chunk of our land. How, if I may ask, has been the perception, or what is your opinion about how, let's say, Europeans here that you have encountered and Africans see this whole reforestation thing? Who do you think takes it more seriously, and why? I don't know if you understand my question.
Yes, of course. You know, our African people, we are Africans.
And, what is that supposed to mean?
Okay, so we are Africans because in terms of civilization, okay, Africa civilization started in Egypt. And it's a pity that Africa, we are the first to become civilized, because Egypt is also Africa. But when you look at the industrialization of the world, industrialization started in Europe, in America, in Asia. Africa is a very green place, and Africa is an untapped resources. That is what I mean that we are Africa. So we are still untapped. We are still a virgin. So we have a lot of resources that has not been tapped. So when you look at the Europe, when you look at the America, they are developed. In fact, it is very rare that you can even see a bushy place or a forest that is unkept in those kind of countries. You know, they have developed their country to the extent whereby even a village is like an estate, a beautiful estate is somewhere in Africa, you know. So we are also, that is why they keep calling us developing countries, because they have developed. And developing countries, we have been for decades. And that tells you that we are still developing, even up to today. So in terms of developing, we are growing. So we are growing, and we are hoping that one day we will grow to the extent that we will can also be where they are, or maybe closer, if not. So we will always continue to learn from them. Because if you actually look honestly at the Sustainable Development Goal, it wasn't developed by Africans. It was developed by, of course, the outside world, and it is something that we have to inherit and we have to learn about, of course. So when you look at all this, we don't really know what we stand to benefit until they come to educate us on how we can benefit from SDGs, how we can benefit from solar energy, how we can benefit from renewable energy. You see, all these things are still coming to us like education, like a foreign, because it's not ours. That is what makes us Africans. Because they are Europeans, they are, you can look at Norway. Norway, for instance, the country there, almost all the cars there, I think by now, they are more than 74% electric.
I think it's over 60%. It's over 60% of new vehicles sold. You see,
electric. Imagine if over 60%, here we are still stuck in our road in traffic with so many fossil fuel cars. And funny enough, we have enough crude oil here, but how many refineries do we even have in Africa? We still have to import fuel and export crude. So this tells you that we are learning from them. So we will continue to learn from them until we can start to negotiate a very good deal. When our policymakers can start to negotiate a very good deal of technology transfer, whereby they can transfer their technology down here, then we can have what it takes to actually develop our own country the way it should be. And this is not just an issue of one man. It has to be, a sort of an organized event whereby we have a policymakers who really know what it takes to actually move the country into the future where it should be. So when you talk about Europeans and Africa, there's a very big gap. So we shouldn't even go there.
I think that we have just raised a number of very important points that are personally dear to me. First of all, I do take issue with the fact, like it may refer to the Sustainable Development Goals, that it was developed by people that excluded us. Then we are now being, so you now have to inherit it. And that is a huge part of the problem that I have. There is no way that you can walk into somebody's house to go and tell him the problems that he has, and then define your solutions to his problems. I don't know if I get my example. It will make sense if you ask the person to tell you his problems. Then based on the options you have, you can tell him that, okay, I can offer this solution to your problem, because the person who is living the problem understands the problem most. You see? So the era where various groups with various agendas define our problem for us, I'm talking about Africa as a continent, and then come to tell us their solutions to our problems. It has been proven over centuries that it has never worked. It will not work and it did not continue to work. But that is a side issue. With respect to the SDGs, I also think that clearly we are all inheritors of one planet. So in that case, the context is a bit different. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Because currently,
Yes.
like you rightly alluded to, Africa is a carbon sink of the world. We are one of the least developed
Of course. We
continents.
are still having a lot of forests in Africa. But if you look
Which
at
we
the
are cutting
Europe,
down.
yes, we are cutting down, but yet we still have forests compared to Europe. We see, even though we are destroying our forests, we still have more forests. So it is one of the big things that make us to feel like, oh, even if we are to destroy all our forests
There will still
in
be
10
more.
years, we still have more forests. Meanwhile, it's not true. If you look at Ghana now, the northern part, the desertification is spreading from north into Kumasi now. You know, Kumasi was formerly a garden city, and now desert is spreading into Kumasi. Kumasi very soon can become a desert if no trees will be planted there. And I can guarantee you, we as Africans, we are slow sometimes. We used to think that, oh, how many trees can we cut? We have so many forests. But before you know, we have cut everything. Then, even Accra now, how many trees do you find in Accra now?
I think
Accra has lost a lot of trees. So when you look at all this, our people doesn't understand that growing a tree can take 20 years, but cutting it is just within 1 minute.
Okay.
So cutting a forest down within 1 hour, you can cut, thousands of, in fact, millions of trees within 5 hours. You can destroy the whole forest. All you need is a machine, and you pull the whole thing down. But can you grow them in 5 hours? That is the question. But how many people think like this? They only think about how they can sell roast wood, how they can export it. They are only thinking about,
the money. But you see,
that cannot save it.
Is that not the problem? Now I'm going to push you a bit. Is that not the problem that people are putting greed above even knowledge? Because you didn't make reference to the fact that, oh, the Europeans, they know more. I don't believe that. Because if it is education, there's a lot of educated people. If it's intelligence, the two of us are even living proof. There's a lot of young people who are intelligent. And our policymakers, some of them, they can write theses on some of these issues. In fact, they have even written the thesis themselves. But at the end of the day, when push is given to shove, they are interested in the money. What do you have to say about such a position?
Well, I will be honest with you. You see, there's no amount of money we can sell our forests that will liberate Africa from poverty. If we are to sell our forests, if we are to cut down our trees and sell them, it cannot liberate us from poverty. But if you can conserve our ecosystem, our ecological sites, you can create a very big forest. You will see that there will be a very big opportunities for Africa. And the opportunities will be that the migration of animals. There are animals also are migrating. The way human beings are moving from one place to another. Do you know that animals also are moving from one place to another?
Yeah.
Birds can travel from Europe, they can travel to America. Not by aeroplane, but by their wings. They can fly. If there's a big problem in America, birds can fly from that forest. They can fly to another forest in Brazil and go and stay there. You understand me? So think about it. if you are destroying a forest, you are cutting it down, those animals living in that forest, they have to move to another place that they have to live. So it means they will not move to somebody's house to stay, and they will not move to the city. It means they have to move to another place where they will live, and that place also have to be a forest. It means you are relocating them unconditionally. So this advantage can be for us if we can preserve our forests and not cut them down. We can get more animals on a more diverse ecosystem where different animals will come from different countries. We can even increase our number of species of animals that we have in our country. Because if as the climate change is, becoming extreme, the weathers are becoming too hot, and so many things are happening because of climate change. When the animals are migrating from one area to another area, when they see a place that is more convenient, a very good habitat, they will move there. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
When they move there, they can conserve that environment. And when they study that there is a new species of animals that are moved here, where are they from? How did they get here? They will do research. How many institutions in Africa invest in research? How many projects is our government funding when it comes to research? So when it comes to research and development, how much grants do young people get from the government to do research and development? So these are questions that I cannot answer. So when you look at it, Europe, America, I don't say that they are more intelligent than us. The only thing is that they pay attention to simple things that we don't really take as important. A white man can sit down and take his binocular and say that he is a bird watcher, and that is a profession, a bird watcher. But here, me and you, if I tell you that I'm a bird watcher, you look at me that is that a job? But if I tell you I'm a banker,
it can be a hobby. It can be a hobby.
I'm an engineer. It's an hobby, but it's a profession for someone. You see what I'm saying? So these are people there are people who even stay on the beach watching the migration of fish, from one water to another water. So all this can help us to, make a lot of. And there are some African countries who have conserved their forests for a long time, and now there are a lot of animals there. And when you are going to visit that forest, you have to pay about $1,500 or $5,000 just to go there to even take a picture with baboon. You can imagine. So this has become an economic.
Now you are saying that it is now money. The preservation of the forest and the various species is actually a money-making venture now. It's not just something for the environment, but it's also an economic opportunity.
It creates economic opportunities, and it also creates environmental opportunity. Because if you look at it, the environment where you are, there is a lot of carbon sink there. The trees are not destroyed, and the people there are living happily. And also, people have to come and pay also to come and watch the animals there. So it's two benefits at the same time. So, and also it will create jobs for the people living in that community. So if they have destroyed it, like they've cut it down, who will come there to come and pay? How will it be comfortable for them to even live in that kind of a place? So these are things that you look at. It's not just environmental advantage, but also there is additional advantage that has to do with economy.
Okay. Now let's switch the conversation up a bit. I'm going to ask about you yourself. You are Prince Michael Olusegun Olusanya. Olusanya, is it Olusanya? Yeah. Or what's the correct pronunciation of your surname? Is it?
Yeah, Olusanya.
Olusanya. Okay.
Olusanya. Yeah.
Olusoya. That's a very Yoruba name if I've ever heard one.
Yes.
Okay. So how did a Yoruba boy end up in Ghana?
Well, if you look at history of Ghana very well, you will know that Ghana also, there is the Yoruba also have roots in Ghana. So we are also Ghanaian.
So we have Yoruba roots, that's all affiliations.
So I live in Accra. Accra is for Ghana, and Accra is for Yoruba. And you know,
Okay.
Ghans too, they are Yoruba. Yeah, so me, I'm a Ghanaian.
So I mean, when did you come to Ghana? What drove that decision to come to
Well,
Ghana?
actually, I was living in South Africa before I moved to Ghana.
Okay.
And you know, when I look at the situation of South Africa in terms of hospitality and the way of life, and I made a consultation with my friends that I want to move to Nigeria or Ghana. But along the line, I come to realize that they told me that, oh, it is okay for me to move to Ghana because, you know, where I'm coming from, there is enough electricity for me to, you know, take my daily life peacefully. But in Nigeria, the problem they have there, which is the number one problem, is electric power supply. Yeah. So it's not stable. So it is what informed my decision to come to stay in Ghana.
So just power alone.
Just power. Yeah, it's very important. Electricity is very important. As I'm talking to you right now, you see there's light here, you can see my face. So if by this time you are calling me, I'm in Nigeria, maybe there's no electricity for you to see my face.
Yeah, I do know. I think one of the people who we'll be interviewing is, I mean, of course, it's a number of conversations. That's the aim of this channel, to have conversations to engage people on sustainability and in various ways. I think, but as an organization, I think energy is a huge part of our interests. So clearly, we'll be interviewing people from the Nigerian power sector. In fact, some of my friends do tell me that they have power 2 hours for every 24-hour cycle, which I kind of find amazing. That you can have electricity for 2 hours out of 24 hours.
Yes.
So I understand what you are saying.
In fact, if you have 2 hours, you are lucky. Some places you don't have, you know, the country whereby you have to generate everything by yourself. You have to generate your money you spend by yourself. You have to generate your electricity by yourself. You have to generate your water by yourself. You have to generate your transportation by yourself. Everything you have to do by yourself. And there's a government. So you wonder if you want to stay in that kind of country or you want to stay somewhere else. So it's a choice. You can. It's a choice you have to make, whether you want to stay there or you want to. But I still visit.
But so, do you see yourself staying there, going back?
In Ghana?
No, in Nigeria.
Because
it seems that now Ghana is your home.
Nigeria. Of course, Ghana is home to me as much as Nigeria is home to me. But in Ghana, yeah, I feel more in the house, you know, because I feel like I'm a Ghanaian. Because now, of course, I am a Ghanaian. For the past 4 years, I've been living in Ghana. I've been eating Ghanaian food. I've been dressing Ghanaian clothes. I, you know, follow the Ghanaian law. I pay the Ghanaian tax. I even have a company in Ghana. I employ Ghanaians. I work in Ghana. So I do everything Ghanaian. So I'm a Ghanaian.
You also have a Ghanaian wife. Anyway,
Not yet.
that is just by the way. But
very soon.
On a more serious note, I did also notice, I think from the very first time I met you last year, our conversations, I realized that you seem to be able to think about things and come up with certain solutions. Will you say that that ability is a result of your educational background? Because you have an engineering background, is that not so?
Yeah, that's one. That's one. But for me, I have talent and I have ability. The same way everybody have their own talent and ability. But my own talent is more into research and development. So, and when you talk about research and development, you have to be a critical thinker. You have to be an innovative person, creative, and you must be able to think different so that you can solve things in a different way. So that's why I'm able to, come up with different ideas, put them to test, why some will fail and why some will succeed. And when it succeeds for me, it means it can succeed for my friends. So if it succeeds for my friends, and if it works for them, it works for me, then it means it can work for all of us and it can work for the country. So that's how I used to see it.
So all these, how do you call it, edible straw, how do you call it, the packs, these were all processes that you came up with yourself?
Yes, my idea. Yeah, my idea. And even currently, as I'm speaking to you, I have some projects I'm doing in my house. Most of my projects start in my house. I do them in my. I'm the first person that I used to use myself for experiments. When I do the experiment,
that sounds a bit dangerous, eh? It sounds a bit dangerous.
If it works.
No. It sounds a bit dangerous because
when I introduce to my friends, then they will say, then when I get their comments, if it's good, I'll take it. If it's bad, I'll take it. Then I'll go and improve myself. You see, just like, let me give you an example. I'm working on a project now, and that project is to reduce plastic pollution in the sachet water industry. Sachet water is
that
one
is huge
thing that people are not really looking at. And the consumers who consume even sachet water are more than those who consume the bottled water.
Obviously.
But most attention is focused on the bottled water. They think the bottled water is more polluting than the sachet because people are not seeing the sachet water area.
Wait, who has that idea?
Because the producer.
Who has the idea that the bottled water produces more than sachet water? I think it's self-evident.
As I'm talking to you, the sachet water consumption, you will find sachet water in every room.
It is every house. It is like 100 to 1. 100 bags of sachet water to one bottle of water.
Of course. Yes. So my project is to eradicate sachet water completely, so that Africans don't drink sachet water again. You can only find sachet water in Africa, and that is a sign of poverty, because poverty is associated with sachet water. Do you agree with me? That
no,
they think sachet water is for poor people. Even the poor people think sachet water is for them. They have known poverty.
I don't agree. I don't agree with this statement.
Have you gone to Europe or America and see people drinking sachet water? You can't.
But
you only find it.
This sachet water.
So it's a sign of poverty. So to eradicate sachet water, I want to have sachet water sold the same price you buy bottled water.
Okay.
So that you will not even think of buying sachet water if my bottled water is the same price with sachet water. So why do you need to buy sachet water?
But I remember when we met, you have this project, this container for water, also made with organic
Yes.
materials. I don't see that having the same price point as sachet water.
Yeah, that's a water bottle. But I'm talking about bottled water, the portable water people buy every day, the one they sell, the Belacqua, the other
Okay. Like this 50 milliliter.
500, the rest.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So when you have to buy my own bottled water, portable water, you buy it the same price they sell the sachet water, which means it's even going to be even cheaper than the Belacqua and the rest of them.
And the quality of the packaging will be superior to the sachet water.
Of course. It will be the same quality. It will be same quality with the bottled water, not the sachet water, because it's a bottled water I'm going to provide. I'm going to provide
sachet water price.
At sachet water price.
Whoa, that sounds like a very intriguing business opportunity.
That's what I'm working on right now. Yesterday, I gave my water to my friend to drink. When she drank the water, she came visiting me. He said she enjoyed the water because she was thirsty.
Okay.
So after she finished drinking the water, I said, okay. So how do you find the water? Is it nice? Say, that the water is tasty. Yeah, I feel some salt inside. And the water is hard.
Okay. You put pipe water inside it. You put pipe water in the.
She said the water is tasty. No, now I'm still doing my testing. Okay. You know, I've not gone to the public. It's still, like I told you, I do experiment with myself. So I'm still in the experiment stage.
Okay.
So she has also benefited from the experiment. I just want to get her own view of, that water that I've not gone to public. So when she said the water is hard. I said, oh, it's hard. Okay. But do you know that water you are drinking is a tap water? They say, huh? I say, yes, it's tap water. And I've been drinking tap water for 2 years now in Ghana. And you see me.
Do you process it?
How do you drink tap water? I say, yes, I've been drinking tap water. So I process my tap water in the house. So the tap water is not coming straight from the tap, I'm drinking it. No. I have a way of purifying my water. So I'm trying to purify my water in a way that it will be nice for other people to drink. So if it's nice for me to drink, I want to make sure that somebody else can also drink it. Then it's nice for them. Then if it's good, then we can start thinking about how to improve the water. Then if the water is now well improved to the standard where we can give it to the standard board to test and give us a certification. Then when we have the certification, we can now sell that same water at the price of pure water, and everybody will benefit from it.
So maybe one final question. How long do you think it will take for this product to begin to hit the market?
Well, of course, currently my product has hit the market. The straw is already in the market.
No, I'm talking about the sachet water. The sachet water.
So when we talk about, I'm not making sachet water.
Your bottled water. Your bottled water.
Because the sachet water is creating plastic pollution. So I am bringing a bottled water to replace the sachet water. And my bottled water will not be in plastic. I don't use plastic for 3 years now. I don't do anything plastic. So what I'm bringing is not going to be a plastic bottled water like everybody else. I'm bringing something different.
Okay.
So that it can become a sustainable initiative and it can last for a long time. So that is what I'm working on. And if it's going to work and it works for me, it means it will work for everybody. If it works for me, it works for my friend, it will work for everybody. You understand me? So that is what I am doing now. So when we look at it, I only need about 6 months, let's say 6 months away from now.
Okay.
I will get everything correct. Within that 6 months, if you had more 8 months to it, then you should be in the market.
Okay. I think I'll be expectant to see the end of this matter.
Of course.
I'm not particularly
It's a very
thrilled
big
about.
part.
I'm not
It's
particularly
a very
thrilled
big
about.
part for, yeah, water is something that creates a lot of pollution, plastic pollution, because people cannot do without water.
Surely.
So, and if we are to reduce our plastic pollution, we have to look at the key areas. And the key areas are the food and beverage. You know, food and beverage, those are the two key areas where the plastic pollutions are coming from. If you go to buy food, they will serve you disposable spoon, disposable plastic, disposable everything. When you want to buy a beverage, you buy it in plastic bottles. When you want to buy water too, you buy it in sachets. So everything is more like plastic, plastic, plastic. So there's no way you can walk into a restaurant now. You can get everything that is not plastic. You surely get plastic there. Even when they are serving you the takeaway food, they still put in a plastic bag for you.
Yeah.
So, you know, the plastic problem is huge. And if we are to tackle it, we have to tackle it from different areas. And, you know, when someone like me is reducing plastic, you know, sector of water, in the sector of food and beverage, somebody else can be doing some other thing also to reduce plastic. So this way, you know, it's a collective effort. Then before you know it, we have gotten somewhere before 2030.
Okay.
So it requires investment. And, you know, investment, we have to invest our time, energy, finance, you know, a lot of things. So that's what we are doing every day. And we believe that it's just a matter of time. We'll see everything in the market.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prince.
Yeah.
I realize that we can
Welcome.
continue and go on and on and on because as we are talking,
Of course.
I mean, there were
Sure.
questions coming into my head about employment, job creation, job destruction, and all that. Every beginning must have an end.
That's very important. Very important.
Yes. So thank you very much. Most definitely, we'll be having this
You're welcome.
conversation or a similar one very soon again. Have a very good day.
Okay.
Bye bye.
And you too. And you too. Yeah, bye. Sure.